You are leaking your life force every single day, and you wonder why you have no motivation to build your empire. You wonder why you wake up tired, uninspired, scrolling through your phone looking for a reason to get out of bed. You wonder why other men are rising, building businesses, building bodies, building legacies, while you sit there, hollow, drained, and defeated before the day even begins. I'm going to tell you exactly why, and it is going to hurt. Look at the modern man. Truly, look at him. He wakes up, and within the first 10 minutes, before he has spoken a word, before he has eaten, before he has done a single thing of value, he has already surrendered his most primal, most sacred energy to pixels on a screen, to people who do not know his name, to an algorithm that was engineered in a boardroom specifically to drain him of the one resource that could make him dangerous. And he calls this freedom. He calls this relaxation. He calls this harmless. Harmless, right. The ancient world understood something that your comfort-addicted generation has completely forgotten. Sexual energy, that raw, volcanic force inside you, is not just biological. It is the same energy that builds civilizations. It is the creative fire. It is what Nikola Tesla called the source of his genius, what Napoleon channeled into conquest, what every philosopher, warrior, and king who ever carved his name into history understood at his core. This energy, when mastered, becomes the engine of everything. Your ambition, your clarity, your discipline, your absolute refusal to quit. But when you waste it, and I mean every single time you surrender it to cheap, manufactured stimulation, you are not just losing a moment, you are draining the battery that was supposed to power your entire empire. You are choosing to remain a peasant. And the tragedy is, you keep making that choice every single day.
The Stoics did not build one of the most powerful philosophical traditions in human history by being soft. They built it by mastering one thing above all else: the self. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome, a man who commanded legions, who held the known world in his hand, sat down every single morning and wrote to himself. Not about his enemies, not about his wealth, about his own mind, about his own discipline, because he understood something that most men in this era will die never knowing. You are a mind holding a body together. That is what he said. You are not your urges, you are not your cravings, you are the consciousness that observes them. But right now, your body is holding your mind hostage. Your flesh is making the decisions. Your dopamine system, hijacked by an industry worth billions of dollars, is running your life, and you have confused that slavery for comfort. You think you are free? You think because you can click whatever you want whenever you want that you are exercising freedom? You are a slave, chained to an urge that lasts 5 seconds, controlled by an algorithm, manipulated by engineers who studied your psychology to keep you weak, keep you consuming, keep you coming back. The most powerful men in the world built systems to capture your attention and drain your energy, and you walked right into it. And you wonder why you can't finish what you start. Here is what the Stoics demanded. Here is the standard they held themselves to, not because life was easy, but precisely because it was hard. True power is not found in indulgence. True power, the kind that radiates off a man, the kind that makes rooms go quiet when he walks in, is found in this moment. The moment temptation presents itself, and instead of collapsing like every other man around you, you look at it directly and you say, "I am the master of this vessel." That is not suppression, that is not shame, that is sovereignty. And sovereignty is the rarest thing on this earth. Now listen to me very carefully, because this is where most men get it completely wrong. They hear control your urges, and they think that means white-knuckling it, gritting their teeth, sitting in a dark room, fighting themselves. That is not what I am telling you to do. That is not Stoic discipline, that is just suffering without purpose. And suffering without purpose produces nothing. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be transformed. This is not philosophy, this is physics. That volcanic tension you feel, that primal surge, that is raw creative power sitting inside your body, waiting to be directed. The question is not whether you have the energy, you have it. The question is where you are going to send it. Here is what you are going to do.
The moment that urge rises, and it will rise, I am not speaking to monks, I am speaking to men living in the real world. The moment it rises, you do not negotiate with it. You do not sit down and scroll. You get up. You go to the gym and you lift until that tension becomes muscle. You open your business plan and you build until that frustration becomes strategy. You open a book and you study until that restless energy becomes knowledge. You take the fuel, because that is exactly what it is, fuel, and you burn it on something that compounds, something that builds, something that 6 months from now you can look at and say, I made that. I did not waste that. And here is what 30 days of this does to a man. 30 days of retaining and redirecting, not suppressing, redirecting, produces what I call monk mode, a state where the noise of the world goes quiet, where your focus becomes almost frightening in its intensity, where you sit down to work and hours disappear, where your confidence shifts, not because you read about confidence, but because you prove to yourself through repeated daily action that you are a man of your word, that when your own body tells you to surrender, you said no. That is a different kind of man. That is the man who builds things that last. Control your base desires, and you will control the world.